Hola, bienvenidos a Oye Cinema Club, Club. My name is Dino, and I'll be one of your hosts for our chat about All That Jazz, which is a movie from 1979. It's got Roy Scheider and directed by Bob Fosse. He was also one of the writers in it. And I picked that film because it's one that's always kind of been in around me, theater classes, all that, and musical theater. I have a lot of friends in that, and I just never got to it. And the beauty of Oye Cinema Club is that I get to pick films that I haven't seen yet that I want to see with my friends. And so today we're going to be talking about all that jazz, and I do have friends, I promise. They're here with me right now, hopefully. Yay! We have Jason. We have Steve. So, let's talk about all that jazz. Hey, Steve, what were your first impressions of all that jazz?
Wait, you didn't tell us why you picked the movie.
I kind of did. It was
Oh,
all
did you? I'm
around.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
never
yeah, yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Alrighty, after that rude interruption by Jason, my first impressions of the movie. I would say so. I'm gonna be very honest. So we're supposed to review this movie last week. We're reviewing it this week. I started watching it last week, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if because I was on more of a vacation mode or what it was, but I had like a strong resistance watching this movie. Or maybe it was because I just thought this was going to be like in the beginning, just from the name, I was like, it's going to be like a jazz movie or whatever. Then it was like a lot of musical stuff. And like when I first put it, I couldn't, I don't know, my attention span was off. I was rejecting seeing people choreograph dancing and over sexualized stuff and all these things. And I had to kind of not fully watch it, right? And then I did something that I broke my own rules. So normally I don't do any research of the movie. I don't watch a trailer, nothing. I just go in blind. It's my first time watching this movie. Never heard of it before. And when I actually read what the movie was kind of about and stuff, then when I started rewatching the movie, I got more into it. And because I was like, oh, it's not just like a musical, it's like a movie within a movie, like it's a lot of stuff going on. So if I didn't know those layers, to be honest with you, it was going to be hard for me to connect with the movie. I know that going through the movie, I could have figured it out at some point, but it was just tough for me to get into the movie. But once I got those details, I was like, oh, this movie's actually quite interesting and is like really good. And it has a lot of layers to it. Uh, and low key, I was like, I feel like a little identified with this movie, with the character and all this stuff. And like, and also I was like, I would love to see like a remake of this movie, like a more modern version with like a Robert Downey Jr. or something like that. I just had that thought of like could have been played by him and stuff. But
Sure.
anyway, those are my first impressions.
Nice. Jason?
I like that. I like the idea of Robert Downey Jr. doing a remake of this. I think that would be pretty interesting. So this movie has been on my long list for a long time. It's on the 1,000 movies you got to see before you die list. So double pleased to be able to watch this and knock that off. When Dino recommended it, I guess I've always kind of thought this was sort of like a remake of the Jazz Singer, like the Johnston movie or whatever, Johnston movie, and Jolston. And I was like, okay, let's see what this thing's about. So I really didn't know what it was about. And so it being about this, like, Broadway slash, film director guy, I'm pleased to always go to watch an industry movie. But then, like, shortly within watching, I was like, oh, wait, I've seen this before. This is 8 and a half. This is a Fellini film. This already exists. Uh, and then Daniel Day Lewis did it again in Nine, right? Which is like the Fellini film again. But uh, yeah, man. I mean, that's what this is to me. I was like, okay, I get it. But it's a really well done movie. I really like their take. I really like the way that they kind of like basically sort of like Americanized this movie and told this story. I think Roy Schneider is terrific in it. I think the cast in general is really great in it. Uh, standouts for me, like Jessica Lange, she's obviously terrific. But like one of the standouts for me was John Lithgow as the other director, that
Yeah.
maybe wants to get the job or whatever. And then also like Ben Vereen being the show host, like he's like a song and dance man. I was like, oh, I didn't know he was in this movie. And like so for him to have that bit was like pretty awesome. And then they get the whole big number at the end. It's like, yeah, what else do you need Ben Vereen for if you're not gonna do a big number at the end? Wallace Shawn was in this thing. He's like one of the accountants or whatever. I thought that was kind of so. I kept seeing people that I like recognized throughout this movie. It does feel like strong, like it kind of has that New York strong '70s gritty vibe to it. Um, like a lot of like movies that came out during that time. So it's kind of like it kind of feels a little bit like it does exist in that world. But yeah, I like this thing, man. So I give it a thumbs up. I enjoyed watching it quite a bit, and there was a pretty fair amount of boobs in this thing as well. So there's that.
Man boobs.
You said what?
Man boobs.
Yeah, there were some man boobs. There's a lot of boobs. Period.
All right. Well, thank you. Real quick, I was gonna say, you said Robert Downey Jr., but there was actually a miniseries in 2019, Fosse Verdon, which
Oh, that's right.
is Sam Rockwell is Bob Fosse, and Michelle Williams is Gwen Verdon. So that's kind of is a combination. I mean, it's more biographical, right, than this one. So yeah, okay. First impressions for me, I I knew enough going into it, and I kind of remember things. And this also the movie, and I'm sure I don't know how much Steve looked into it, but is tied with another film that we did, at least the musical, which was um, Chicago, um, and that's where the title comes from, all that jazz. So
Oh yeah.
Fosse was directing Chicago while also doing um, directing a movie, which was Lenny, also stand-up comedian and all that. So this is weirdly fantasy biographical in that time period. Bob Fosse actually had a heart attack while doing both those things. And then, sadly, I don't know how many years later, maybe 7 years later, he passed away from a heart attack as well. So it's very interesting, like kind of like Steve's saying, like looking back at it. And I don't know how much you had, Jason, knowledge of who Bob Fosse was, or uh, maybe you knew, but exactly what all he was involved with. So it would be really interesting to get a uh, kind of a first impression or whatever of someone who has no idea who he is, right? Like his cultural importance in musical theaters, right? It would be very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I thought it had a great start. I was surprised because this is one that I can see, like Steve was also saying, like it can be a little bit of lagging and what is happening and what might be real early on, what is not. Because I mean, I'll start with the intro and then I want to go and maybe hear about. Let's go into editing, right? One of the things I really enjoyed was the editing throughout this, and the it starts and you kind of know his character from the get go because of the I don't know if it was Beethoven or the music. He's in the shower. He's doing the eye drops. That he's got very red eyes. He's smoking a cigarette in the shower. He's taking seltzer in the water. He's amphetamines. like boom, 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 and that's something that continues throughout the movie. At times faster, and then at times it kind of slows down, and it really added to like the psychosis of the character, right? Of what was happening, and then how the scenes were being affected. So that from the get go, I thought was like, oh, we know who this character is. It's Steve Dez. You know, that's what he goes every day
That's just his
when
life.
yeah, he's trying to juggle all these different businesses and keeping us in line. You know, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, so I really enjoyed the editing, and yeah, so I do want to ask you guys now, going into that, if there were a scene, or if there was either a musical number or montage of something, or just overall editing in the film that kind of jumped out at you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the editing is one of the things that you notice right away with this movie because the movie sort of told through the editing, and the editing is performed like a dance. So it can be kind of hard when you first start watching this. You're like, what am I watching? How is this working? But you sort of have to catch the rhythm of how this story is being told. And what I like about it is, I mean, Fosse's a dancer, obviously. It's just really interesting to edit a movie, how a dancer would edit a movie, right? Um, yeah, like the editing is definitely like sort of just telling its own story with the rhythm, and it's sort of it's its own. It's rare that you see that. I mean, the editing really is its own sort of emotional core to the movie. How it's done, and how long they stay on a scene, and so many different montages. It is like you know it's almost like a play in itself, where it's like you could probably do this thing in a theater. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
like clever ways where you could just pull this thing off in a theater, and it just will live in its own space. Like, so yeah, like Fosse kind of combined all those elements, and to me made a pretty compelling, piece of cinema. I mean, did very well for a director trying to tell a story about a, you know, dancer, musical theater director. It's very clever, man. It's very clever. I see why it would be on the 1,000 list because
and Criterion,
oh, it's
right?
Criterion as well.
Yeah, and
Okay,
what I would, it's, I don't know how much you guys knows about the musical theater and all that, or just, but it's almost they call it like talk baseball, right? Like when some stuff can be really like nuanced, and like usually baseball is all about scoring and this and stats and blah blah blah. But speaking of like this could be on stage. He had a stage uh, play in the movie, which was that weird ethereal on stage where he's interacting with the actress, with the women, and then like
right.
oh, you really did screw her up. Like I was just thinking about it when you were kind of mentioning about the editing and being staged, and I was like, how can I completely forget about that? That this is edited with like a stage show as well. It gives me vibes of Brazil, that we also saw here and talked about. But just the idea of like what's going on over there. And that's very much what you could see on stage in a play. You have that weird, very ensemble, right? Movie. It's like the same characters kind of repeat, and like you would have kind of the center stage where that weird where they're there and it's weird and all that, and then you do the flashbacks and you go into the different moments in his life, but clearly it's one specific moment. And that's what was a bit jarring at first, because I was like, is this, are we seeing a live show that they're doing at the moment? Or is this in his mind, right? Or
Right.
would it be in the coma, whatever? We can get into that a little bit later. But yeah, Steve, uh, what do you think about the editing, or was there a sequence that you enjoyed how it was done, or overall feel?
I mean, I can't think of a particular one. Uh, but just in general, the editing was made everything seem very seamless. Because like in the beginning, the first time I was starting to watch it, it was giving me with the whole like talking to the ghost or fairy or angel or
Yeah.
whoever the fuck it was. But the it was giving me like Scrooge vibes.
Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was like, is this gonna be like a Scrooge type movie? And then again, that's why I did the research and I'm like, oh, okay, whole thing is kind of like doing like which I mean you can see by watching the movie, like it is doing like a imitation of life using like show business. But then when you uncover like the what you were saying about Chicago and all that stuff, and that is essentially based on the director writer
Yeah.
dude, then yeah, like it makes sense of like it's also a critic of like show business and creativity and like essentially how even a person, because you can see him in certain moments kind of even not wanting to necessarily work, but that's like where all his power came from.
Right.
So I found personally like extra touching the fact that in moments he was like, you know, almost dying, but then he was also part of the show, and like all the elements of the edit, it just made everything seem very seamless and cohesive, and like it didn't have to over explain what it was. Like you can
Right.
just see it from what they were showing you, and like that's very hard to achieve in like a movie so complex like this one in particular.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
it's a
sure.
trip. It's a trip,
Yeah.
and it's one of the. You know what? Also, just thinking about kind of the editing and the repeating, Goodfellas, right? Towards the end, when he starts doing more drugs and all that, and it like
Yeah,
starts speeding up, and like the helicopter are being chased, and just like neurotic, and like going over the
yeah.
things and doing the
Because it makes the
very much.
audience feel something, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like this, at least to me, this, kind of was hitting those points. Um, I woulda. Hey, no ladies, but we've solved feminism before, so let's go
So we
woke,
can do it
guys.
again.
We can do it again. Whoa! So this being somewhat biographical, I was thinking about like, could anyone get away with this kind of thing where from the get go, like the auditioning scene of the dancers, and then he's like walking by, and like they're like clearly right, like staring at the girls, kind of seeing, and then he's like looking at the list, and they're like, "Is this your home phone number?" Like, and then they're just like flat out like, I slept with him and he still didn't give me the role, and just like so open, right? Of just like, what clearly it was like. I was gonna say in the '70s being a director and auditioning, but shit, that still is happening at a certain level. But just how clearly it was, just like, yeah, he's sleeping with the actresses, with people that are auditioning for him, and then he was super kind of like cruel and manipulative, like when just like having sex. And then, oh, the line I put, I just wish you weren't so generous with your cock, right? Was the one line when she shows up, and he's cheating on her with a girl in bed, and then he even at some point was like, I could use that, like the idea of like all this horrible shit happening to him, like I could put that in my show. But yeah, but then when the girl's like, oh, I was offered a touring position, and then he's like, really, you want to go? Yeah, maybe you should go. And then the moment that she calls and's like, yeah, like I'll go, he's like, actually, now that I think about it, like it was just like at times the most horrible person, on earth of just like then in the actual rehearsal was only calling her out, was only making her, and then like I can't make you a great dancer. I don't even know if I can. Like it was just like breaking her down, and it was just one of those cases of what is it? What they're kind of like not meant to be together, but you can't escape it. Uh,
Destiny, fortuitous.
maybe destiny, but yeah, it's just when someone's controlling you. I was even gonna say like in Elvis that happened, right? The Colonel's character was able manipulative, right? Just very manipulative.
So
Was
I'm
able to
not going
like
to say you're wrong there, Dino. I don't know that you are, but
about.
I had a different reaction to that thing, and it just comes from personal experience, probably being an actor. But when I was watching that scene, the main thing that I was thinking of was like, oh man, this feels real. This feels like how these rehearsal processes go. I mean, I've never been a dancer, but it's kind of the same deal in the way where like you're trying to get something right. And I feel like sometimes directors can be sort of like seemingly mean like that. But in the theater world, maybe just because I'm used to it, in the theater world, I almost feel like that's okay. Like you want to be respectful to people, obviously, but it's like you really don't have time but to be honest. Like we got to be honest about what's going on here so that we can like win the day. So I don't have time to like make you believe you're going to be this legendary great dancer. Like I'm going to be honest with you, you really can't keep up with anybody in class. So I don't even know if I can make you good. You know what I mean? But I'm going to make you serviceable if you let me. And obviously this woman wants to succeed and whatnot, and he can pretty much have any actress, unemployed actress in New York he wants. But I think I don't know, I just think there's sort of like this raw honesty to that scene because even at the end of it, all the other actors or, performers, they're all like clapping. They're like, yeah, you did it because you did kind of get there. I mean, that's just the way I saw it. I just felt kind of like a very real, raw, sort of vulnerable um, theater rehearsal classroom type space from like a mentor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I had uh, my own experiences with my Russian professor
Sure.
in the
I can
in
imagine.
the in the rehearsal and training, not the bedroom, mind you,
Sure.
not that exact
Noted.
relationship. I just think though for her specifically, I do agree with you. It's like we ain't got time. It's we ain't got time. But the way that he had been with her already, it
Sure.
just felt going a little bit. But then again, that's one thing. Like when you're in a relationship and it's like and it's in the same field as you are in, I feel like when I've been in those kind of relationship, I almost always also set not like a high standard for me, but also for her, kind of like as
Sure.
in like I gotta be honest, right? Like I if we're doing the same thing and like and they ask, but also if they ask me about stuff, I'll I won't be able to just lie and be like, oh yeah, no, it's great, it's amazing, it's I'll have to have like a conversation about like this was good, which goes into the line of when the producers are there and it's like, do you like it? It's very interesting. It's unusual. Like that was when they saw
Yeah.
the big like basically orgy song dance number. They were just like ways of not having to say no. It's like
Also,
anyway,
like
Steve.
just a quick thing I wanted to say. This movie actually, the editor Alan Haim, he won the Academy Award for film editing.
Yeah, I won a few Oscars actually. It also
Interesting.
won the Palme d'Or in 1980. I was telling Jason about that. It was a co-winner with Kagemusha, which to me is just mind blowing. And what's great also about right film at times when it's like you have this like musical bio over sensory overload movie present time, and then you have samurais. You have Akira Kurosawa Japanese, movie produced by what's that? Coppola? Yeah, he wasn't able to get money anymore in Japan. So at a certain point, Scorsese and I think Coppola and Spielberg all kind of contributed to like be like this director needs to continue making movies, which we did Dreams not so long ago as well. But yeah, so I don't know where I was going there with all that jazz.
What you were saying about the awards?
Yeah, Steve, you brought in the awards. Were you going somewhere else with that?
No, I just wanted to
Um,
mention.
yeah, that's interesting. What other awards? Do you guys know what other awards it won?
It won also the Ralph Burns won the Academy Award for the film's adaptation score.
Oh, adaptation score.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, and
It
it got
got it got it
nominated.
got nominated for cinematography for best
Yeah,
actor.
and I think director
Yeah,
also.
pretty good cinematography.
Yeah,
Like honestly, well, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later.
So it won. So here I have the whole thing. So it received 9 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Director, Actor, Screenplay, and Cinematography, and it won 4 Oscars: Art Direction, Costume Design, Film Editing, and Adaptation Score.
another thing I really enjoyed about this, speaking of costumes and all that, and what again you can see in digital versus film, just the textures and the look of like late 70s. Like it feels dirty, right? Like
Yeah,
it feels like the audition scene on stage and then the dance rehearsal and all that. Like I feel like you can almost smell the sweat or like it's musky or whatever, versus everything is so clean now. Like I actually do want to go and then watch Fosse Vernon to see like
yeah, me too.
it's I think it's FX or something. It's digital, so is it what's the take of now of the 70s versus actually seeing something there that's grainy, and I mean the other thing, it's like I love the more we watch movies from like the 70s and even 80s is, and I mean it's very little with like the 90s, right, that we watch Clueless and all that, because that at that point movies are already hitting a different level. But you have his doctor is smoking and coughing while, well, it's the doctor they bring for the insurance, right? But it's this doctor that's like coughing more than uh, than Roy's character, than the main character, while trying to listen to the chest and have him cough. I just
Oh yeah, that was
that
correct. That scene was scary to me. I was like, man, like I got the joke that was going on, but I was like, I'm scared for everybody in this scene. Like all these actors are going to catch throat cancer.
yeah. Uh, yeah, it's great when things like that are happening because it's like, oh man. And then I was like, I saw a doctor. He said I was fine. It's like, I mean, that doctor couldn't hear your coughing over his coughing.
Yeah, that was a pretty good
Um,
gag. Did somebody say that you couldn't hear your coughing over his coughing?
no, 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 no.
Oh, okay,
That's what
pretty funny.
that's a Dino one. You feel free to use it though, whenever you want.
Okay.
Uh,
When I do the
the
rewrite for all that jazz, I'll throw it in there.
the other thing that I noticed, which was the audition, it was like if you ever been in kind of like cattle calls or any kind of audition, even though it was more for dancing, there are a lot of similarities to just acting and stuff like that. But the read through, man, oh my god, I don't for you guys like, and just it's also more over the top for musicals because when I was working also at La Jolla Playhouse and stuff, there were a lot of world premieres that it was always brand new, but they always had jokes and bits for their clientele, for like the really rich that would come, right, and just like we gotta get them one-liners, them zingers, right? And it's like everyone in California needs a car. I have a friend who bought a Mercedes just to get to the bathroom. Ha 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 ha! Everyone was laughing, and it's the corniest joke. But like, you do that in like Broadway, you do that like in front of like theater goers that they are season ticket holders, they're gonna laugh their ass off. Like, it's some things never change, right? Um, I don't know if you guys noticed some other lines that popped up, or from whether you guys auditioned or once you've been producing or directing stuff, that you can be like, "Yep, that seen that firsthand."
I mean, mostly just a lot of those vibes in general. Like nothing's like coming to mind directly, but the whole movie kind of felt like a bit of a fever flashback in a couple ways. It felt kind of feverful, if that makes sense. Kind of like it just the whole movie to me sort of felt like a theater fever dream.
Yeah,
Kind of like the actor who walks out on stage. You're having a dream and the actor's naked, and you're like, oh no, why am I naked on stage? Um, yeah, I don't know. Like that's just kind of the vibe I got of it. A few of the scenes I had to watch a couple times just because I'm like, wait, what did I just see? Like, well, what just happened? So that happened like maybe three times. I had to actually rewind it to make sure I was catching everything the right way. But yeah, like I, I liked it, man. I like just the way this thing sort of made me feel in general
yeah.
about theater and like the every kid. Also, everybody in this movie like loves what they're doing. Like I really like the what's the piano player, the pianist, the accompanist or whatever.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like I like the scene where he's trying to cheer everybody up who gets basically fired or laid off from their job. That kind of made me a little sad too because I'm like, dang, that's one of those moments. Like these are New York actors. Uh, they finally got a cool gig that's going to pay their bills for a while. I mean, who knows? This Broadway show, this thing could run for a year if we play our cards right. We don't know what this thing's going to do. Everybody's happy to be there, happy to have it, and then they lose it. And then you just see the depression in the room. And then the accompanist comes in and he's like, hey, like, and they're all put on the, facade that the
Yeah.
guy might come back or whatever, knowing like they don't know. But he's trying to keep the mood high. So he's like, I'm going to pretend to write this song for the big hospital. And everybody in the room is just like, most of the people in the room, 90% of the room is just like, oh my God, how am I going to do anything
Well,
now?
it's
I've already,
very very
I,
yeah.
what?
No, keep going.
Oh, everybody in the room is thinking, I've already spent this money. It's gone. I've already bought all the things with this paycheck that I'm not going to get. What am I going to do? Um, yeah. So yeah, that was kind of like I don't know, like I would say like a little dose of reality, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, so
But
to me,
it's
that
that
felt real. I don't think any
yeah,
non-actor would write that scene. You know what I mean?
right. But it's real in the real in the sense also that there's stuff in the news right now that it's like we just spoke to him. He's still like intubated, but he's gonna be coming back real soon. And
Yeah,
then
right.
that's where he's like, oh yeah, and he told me he already has idea for the hospital scene, and I'm like, it's like
That's
that
funny.
shit's happening right now. Like,
Yeah.
hi, he's up and he's walking, definitely walking and talking,
He's
and
flirting with all the nurses.
I'm like, I
Yeah,
wonder if
that's what he would do.
that sounds like something that's been happening on recently.
Oh man,
Um,
way too accurate.
okay, moving forward, unless Steve, you wanted to add to that part of the biz
Uh, I,
talk.
w- I would just say like the scenes that Gideon, that's his name,
Yeah,
he had with his daughter, like when they were,
I'm glad you brought that up because
yeah,
I
like when they, because it seemed like some of the most like honest moments.
yeah.
Because the daughter was being direct about like, ooh, lesbians or whatever. the Or what was the other like? Oh, why don't you get married again and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, and even the scene that the daughter had with
the girlfriend,
the
the
girlfriend.
main girlfriend. Yeah,
Yeah, that they
I
did
like
like a
that scene too.
that private
them
number.
rehearsing and like just stripping their pants off, and they have the dancer pants
Yeah,
on
yeah, them putting
underneath.
on that whole show for him, like I thought that was fantastic.
I mean, that just also gave flashbacks of when you're a little kid and you're just like the family's there. It's like, wait, you gotta watch. Shh.
Yeah, right,
Although not a fucking amazing dancer, you
right.
know, their gig was great.
So
I
the
mean,
daughter ends up in the Broadway show, like in his mind at least, but she's not really in the show, is she?
wait, you're saying so then it gets really trippy. The daughter is not in the show, but she's in the final part of the movie where he's in the hospital bed, but he's also directing a film that the daughter, the girlfriend, and I think the wife or ex-wife, mother of the child, I think are dancing. So that's what I wanted to get to next. Is like what kind of like what were your thoughts there of what was going on? Because he's like dying, right? And then it's like we gotta go do the next shot. We gotta go, you know, like
He's
and,
he's directing his death.
right. But also this amazing dance number. I mean, just like what I mean,
Yeah, but the things
so,
that they were saying were things directly to him, like you got to stop.
yeah.
You
I
know.
mean that some the bad reviews that came out on this movie that not a lot, but it was like he's pretentious and he's like got a big ego because this is supposed to be him and blah blah, you know. So they were kind of just like going at Bob Fosse for just being like, oh, he's so great and like everything's
Mm.
about him and like look how great and troubled he is and oh overworked, you know, just like like the guy did have a heart attack while doing like definitely one of the biggest musicals or most well known, right? The movie Lenny didn't do as great when it came out.
So wait, when this is all happening, it's Chicago that he's directing?
Not even directing, putting it on stage, so writing it,
Oh, he was right in
like
Chicago.
writing and rehearsing Chicago for Broadway. So basically, the show that he's writing, which is about the stewardess or whatever, uh, that is him writing and coming up with Chicago with
They
the
say
cast
write
and
what you
everything.
know, and if
Yeah,
he's having like, he goes, wow, this thing could really be a movie in my head while it's happening or
yeah,
whatever. Or, obviously he was right because this movie is good.
yeah. It's
It's a
and I
movie about
mean
my life. My life is movie worthy. That's cool to me.
and the I mean literally their moves named after Fosse, right? Fosse hands like that. Like there's so
Sure.
many different
Fosse,
moves that
Fosse, Fosse.
yeah. The birdcage,
Yeah.
Madonna, Madonna. Okay, sorry, getting off topic there a little bit.
Robin Williams will always get you off topic,
But he's connected to everything also.
for sure.
Whatever. At the very end, since we also recently, somewhat recently, did Rocky Horror, I thought the end of the movie there, it almost had a little bit the final song that Frankfurter did. Kind of, it was like I'm going home, you know,
Yeah.
and like the direct like it had that whole very fantasy film where everyone's looking kind of at him, and like there's almost like a procession, and it's like oh shit, is he gonna make it or is he gonna die, right? Because I was even wondering, I was like, is the movie gonna end? Because usually when you see the trippy shit in the middle where he's talking to like his ex-wife and like about the kid and you were never there and it's like through a glass but also that usually means like you're dead, right? That means you're like, that's you dead, that's purgatory, or that's heaven, or that's whatever. At least that's how I see it, right? But in the movie, as it continues, and you're like, it might be in the coma, and then at the very end, there are all these dance numbers over and over, and he's getting like zapped and zapped. I was like, is he gonna survive? And then it's him walking down. He like runs away from the the his hospital bedroom, and then you're seeing the bits where like the girlfriend is now going on a date with other people, and then he's like awake, and that's a weird thing of like, are you in a coma and understanding and hearing like she's having a conversation like on the phone with her new boyfriend or whatever. So it gave me some Rocky Horror Picture Show because it was pretty kind of like him dying while also this beautiful kind of song about like returning or surviving type of thing, right? Living, and then at the very end he goes back to the same line, the show business, right? There's no business like show business. I was like, oh, he did it, and then just zipper zip, in the morgue bag, and
Yeah,
I was
crazy.
like, what? Like that is wild. Like that is so great, and it made me think even of One Battle After Another, right? It had a similar like success, right? You reached your pinnacle, and then you end up in one of those bags, and you get shoved into either incinerator or you're done, and that's your life's work, right? Right there in that movie. Um, yeah, did you guys have thoughts on that kind of final sequence of the dancing, the getting revived, dying, keep going, like
I didn't personally
run
have
it
any
again?
thoughts about that. No, I did enjoy it. There was a piece of me, I guess, when I was watching it, was like, oh, well, this has turned into like a full-on dance number. Like this is just like a lot of dancing. I guess I was kind of forgetting that it was Fosse as well. It's like, oh, this is a not that I was annoyed, but I was like, this is a lot of dancing for a movie. It's a lot of dancing to wrap this thing up. Uh, but then as it kind of went on, I was like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. Like I didn't. I was just kind of having the experience. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I didn't really know too much about this for real. So I was just letting it kind of like wash over me, and that's what I was feeling at least. But
nice.
all in all, I mean, it worked out in the end. I was happy to have like experienced all of it.
Well, and like it almost felt like there was going to be three ending songs. Like I felt like, oh, this is
Yeah.
the finale. This is the finale of the song. He's gonna wake up, or he's gonna die. And it's like, and do it again, or run it from this. Okay, now this time, this is the final song. We got it. It's like, and again, like I just kept freaking going.
Yeah, it was the
Uh,
song that never ends.
yeah, basically.
But I mean, more power to them because you know how much work they had to put in to make that all work. Like the
Yeah,
performers and the
and then
director, everybody.
there's that inception moment of it, right? That it's uh, written, directed by the guy that the main character is like based off.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Fosse did everything but play the main character, man.
Yeah, if I can't even imagine, like that would be a good behind the scenes kind of seeing what might be in the Criterion or whatever interviews and stuff like that, or Roy Scheider talking about it of what could possibly. Um,
I mean, maybe we'll get a little bit if we watch that series that FX
yeah,
produced.
yeah, but just the idea of like how do you getting directed by the person like that inception of like you're him, so watch him direct you being a hyper personality of yourself, and yeah, your ego basically.
Yeah, I mean,
You
excellently done. You guys mind if I give you some box office numbers?
do it.
So the box office maintains that There's an estimated budget of $12 million when this film came out in 1979, and it grossed 37.8 million. So profitable. I mean, all things considered. I mean, what is that, like 200% on the money that you spent, right? So I would say that's a pretty good return on the film. You know, um, yeah, 1979. You know, I can only imagine there was probably like one house theaters around people to see this.
Right.
So I wasn't a bit like, I mean, I don't know. Like tickets were also cheaper too, much cheaper in '79. So I don't know, but this thing was a success. And like you guys said, it won a lot of awards. So I would say this is a successful film right from the start.
Yep. I agree. Um, yeah. All right. Well, if we get the numbers, if there's nothing else, then let's go into final thoughts. Um,
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
I'll start with it. Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I didn't realize that it was gonna be like fantasy. I knew a little bit, like it was. Yeah, I didn't realize I was gonna have all these layers. I think maybe that's why I was putting it off for a while because I was like, this is just gonna be a dancing musical movie, slightly based on him. But it had all these other layers that, yeah, it was funny, it was dark, it was sad. The whole thing with the daughter. I mean, it was so sweet the scene when he's dancing with the daughter and they're having that kind of serious conversation, but then he's like giving her the notes of like, like, okay, make sure to bend your back, make sure to this, plie it, not plie, but all that stuff. And yeah, it was just so smooth because usually it was like a one take moment of that, right? There weren't a lot of cuts in the movie. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I It's a movie I definitely will recommend to people. Um, I guess whenever any kind of musical movie comes up, because it might be Chicago, it might be whatever, be like, hey, if you want to watch kind of how the guy who wrote it, director, what happened, or other musicals that come up that he was involved with, uh, I would definitely recommend this. Anyone that's kind of in a certain part of the entertainment business might also enjoy this. Um, so yeah, I and that's a movie I would watch again at some point. I think. Also, if it is playing in a movie theater, this is definitely one like, oh yeah, I would go watch this with an audience. Also, the sound again, it won all these Oscars. Like there were moments where it became completely silent, in the film. So they played really. That was again part of the editing, not just the cutting scenes and sequences, but also editing the sound in and out. I thought was pretty good. And yeah, John Lithgow. I'm just gonna end with him. They were so skeevy, conniving, trying like, here's some notes, like, oh no, thank you, and then the kid is like, or the girl is, I'm an actress or I'm an actor, like, can I get your autograph? And it was like, after, what was the guy's name? After so and so, you're my favorite director.
Yeah, right.
or
After
or
Gideon.
you're my favorite director. Well, after Gideon, and
Yeah.
his like that's an Oscar moment right there. I don't know why he didn't get nominated. Just that look of like signing, and then him being like, "I'm gonna take the check," and the other guy's like, "No," and he's like, "I'm gonna take it." It's like Oscar
Yeah,
right
that
there
was
for John
definitely an
Lithgow.
interesting choice. Like that he has to take the check. Like he has to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know what he was thinking, like re-add some value to himself. I don't
right.
know, but
Like,
it was interesting.
well, yeah, because then they were even kind of like he might be waking up type of thing. So like he's just getting screwed on 1, 2, 3 level. Like
Right.
I've written notes because he was ready. Like, oh, the show's ready. We just
There
need
was
to
a lot
finish
of
it.
notes.
Yeah,
There was a whole
but
binder like full of notes.
yeah, but it was like the songs are there, the dancing's there.
And he
Oh
even
yeah,
said, he goes, "You've done a lot of work on this."
yeah. And then the final thing is also one of the. Oh, it was always a thing in theater, but clearly in the movies also. And I mean, but the ex-wife, or at the very least the mother of no, it is the ex-wife because they wanted him to marry again. Uh, Basically saying like, I can still play 24. Like just the idea of like actors and actresses like constantly being like, oh yeah, I can play 21. I can do 18. I can be the ingenue. You know,
Right.
I can be the one that the ingenue that moves into that big new city and blah blah blah. So yeah, it was a fun, interesting, weird. Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's what I. That's my final thoughts.
Right on. Very cool.
Who wants to go next? A Steve or a Jason?
Uh, Steve.
Sure, I'll go quick and easy. See, I go like Mario. Boom, boom, boom. So I think this is a movie like this. If Marina was here, she would say this is a bro movie with dancing.
Interesting.
But that's what she would say. What I would say is that for some reason I want to see a remake of this with Robert Downey Jr. I don't know why. I'm still with that idea. I think he will kill it. Uh, I really think this is a movie I would definitely watch again, especially now with more context and more of different perspectives about the film. Uh, I think that maybe a movie theater. I mean, it would be cool, but like, I really think this is like a movie that I will watch for sure in like a drive-in. I think
Oh
this
wow.
movie would be amazing to watch in like a really big projected screen in like a drive-in type situation. Um, I also think that this movie, like in many ways, it represents a very truthful, unfortunate side also of showbiz that we've been uncovering now. Like it's this movie so old, but like the whole like Me Too movement and all this stuff is like technically recent compared to like this. So it's like it's interesting to see like especially seeing like in cinema club we watch so many films from so many different eras, but I feel like there's that period of time of like I don't know if it's just the 60s and the 70s and maybe some of the 80s that there's like a lot of more substance to the film, meaning like they're throwing like I don't know little secrets or opening people's minds to certain things that I don't think we get to see nowadays as often. Because there's a lot of flashy CGI Moana live version films these days. Um, so it's refreshing to see like things of this aspect because again, it's even I mean, now you can argue that a movie like this, besides the context or content of certain scenes and certain things, will be easier to make, at least production wise. But like the fact that they pull this off and whether or not it was a financially like booming movie or not, like the fact that they pull this off in a cohesive way and in no point did I feel like, besides my initial apprehensions, but in no way did I feel the editing was bad or anything. Like I was, no matter how many flashes or backtracks or forwards or whatever, like I was always on point with the film. And that's honestly no wonder they won the Academy Award for like editing because it's tough and like editing can make or break your film. And in this film, the editing was absolutely superb. The acting was great, amazing as well. The musical numbers were incredible. The dancers were amazing. There's so many great things about the film, but Definitely a big standout. Besides the dancing itself, uh, it's the editing, and yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So I guess that leaves me. Final
Yeah.
thought is, I really like this movie, man. I stand by it. It's something that I would watch again. It's cinematic enough where you would want to see this again. I mean, I would want to see it again in on a bigger screen. I agree with Steve on that. This is something that I would enjoy in that atmosphere. I feel like I would recommend this to pretty much any adult who has done like theater or performing art or whatever. I think they would really, or dance, especially dance. Like, I think they would all get off on this thing because it's kind of their world. I don't know if they necessarily will like it, but because of like the storyline per se, but I would still recommend it based on those, attributes. And plus, it's just it's a darn good movie, So, like, I almost recommend this thing to anybody if you're, in the film cinema. It made the 1001 list for a reason. Uh, I feel it did, and I feel it deserves to be there. It really is good. Uh, yeah. Those are my final thoughts of the movie.
Very cool. Well, one last thing. Hey, Jason, you got a question for Steve?
Thanks for reminding me, Dino. I do have a question, and that's Steve. What do you got for us next week?
Next week, I am so glad you asked me because we watch all that jazz. It's time to watch all that pop because we're gonna pop with Jason. He's the next one.
Oh snap, y'all! Okay, so
What?
you know how I do it. I'm taking us right back to the 1001 list. We're gonna knock off another one of those ditties. And I recognize that as long as we've been doing Cinema Club, we've never done a Godard film. And I'm like, that's bizarre. Why haven't we done a Godard film? So we're doing Jean-Luc Godard's Breathless. And that's going to be for next week. We're going to enjoy.
Okay, okay.
Hopefully, we enjoy Breathless.
There you go for El Dondino, Jason underscore Eccles, and me, Steve the CB. We'll catch you next week. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Bye bye.